Welcome to the Marketing Mortgages Social for Brokers podcast. Now, today I have with me a returning guest who has brought so much value in the past, someone who has been there and done it when it comes to setting up a successful mortgage brokers' businesses, and he has helped a lot of other people do exactly the same thing. So that is why I have the one and only Craig Skelton back with me today. Craig, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Wow, thank you very much for that introduction. So I think I need to get that recorded and sort of get that on loop somewhere. So no, I appreciate that. No, thanks for inviting me back on, Chris. I'm looking forward to. It's been a while since we've been on, and it's been a while since you and I had a chat. So it'd be good to catch up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Looking forward to it, definitely. Well, I think it's probably nearly 2 years now. But one thing I have
Wow.
noticed, if you're watching on YouTube, Craig has either got some new art or put some new art up in the background. Because I remember last time, I remember it being bare walls, whereas now there's some colour up there, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely some colour, and I keep changing it around. So, but there's definitely colour.
Well, if you haven't watched us on YouTube before, make sure you get us on YouTube. But before we get into the podcast, I just wanted to mention we have our email list where you can sign up for free on our website, socialforbrokers.com/blog. Sign up there every week. We send free social media tips into your inbox. So that's socialforbrokers.com/blog. Anyway, let's get into it, Craig. So before we started recording, we were chatting, and you were saying that you've now got a team of around about 27 people, yet you are one of the most chilled people I've met in the industry. How'd you do it?
Um, I think, and we'll talk about, no doubt, talk about it on the podcast. But it is. I think it's just about being level-headed, Chris. I think I've always sort of it's creating the right culture in the firm, first of all, which is one of the key things. So the people that are in the firm and that I work with are very like-minded. And I think that's sort of the important bit, is that it's not like the firm and the way they're set up and the business model is not for everybody, but the culture is there through and through with every single individual. So none of us like drama, none of us like stress, none of us sort of like anything sort of, yeah, quite chilled out as a firm. And I think I've always been sort of quite level-headed as an individual as well.
And that's obviously filters down into your staff. Like they say in corporate world, normally shit rolls downhill. Not in this instance. The
No,
good vibes go down to people. So for anybody
definitely.
that doesn't know you, Craig, if you could, one, give us a bit of your background, and two, tell us what companies you run today, please.
Yeah, fine. So 20 something years financial services, started out in banking world, high street banking, moved into mortgage advisors in the work, managing mortgage advisors, mentoring mortgage advisors in the banking world, then moved into the corporate world of estate agency, mortgage services, broker, managing a team, done a few other things. And then sort of 7.5 years ago, set my own firm up, left the corporate world behind, left managing a team, what I thought at the time, managing a team, left that whole behind and set up my own firm. And so that was 2017, started CS Mortgage Solutions. And over the past 7 or so years, just grown that organically with the number of brokers. We've also got CS Retirement Solutions. So now it's CS Financial Group. So we've got CS Mortgage Solutions for the mortgage brokers. We've got CS Retirement Solutions. We've got financial advisors under that trading style. And we've also got CS Equity Release. So we've got equity release specialists as well that are within my own trading style. And then within the group, CS Financial Group, we've got 15 advisors that have got their own trading style as well within that. So if that makes sense from my business point of view overall, and the umbrella group. And then separate to that, I've got my coaching, mentoring, consulting business as well. That's totally separate to the CS Financial Group. So yeah, quite
Lots going on. Keeps you busy.
yeah, lots going. It keeps me busy, but it's stuff that I love doing. So yeah.
And when you say 7 years you've been doing it on your own, when I look back at 7 years now, used to think, wow, that's such a long time. But only 4 years ago was COVID. So when you were going into COVID, you only had the business for 3 years. I mean, I have had this business 4 years now, and it doesn't feel like a day over a few months. So to say that 7 years, to go from that you on your own all the way up to now 27 people within this group, it's incredible. It's such exponential growth, I think, and it's something that I know a lot of people in the industry have a lot of respect for you for doing it in such a short amount of time. And today, Craig's going to tell us all his secrets about exactly how he did it. He's going to write a blueprint. Well, the
Yeah.
reason that I wanted to get Craig on today was because I know, as I said, a lot of people look up to him in the industry, and he has personally coached a lot of mortgage brokers, not only to deal with their business, grow their business, and find the most efficient way to do that, but also to help the brokers with their mindset and I'm not going to say woo woo mindset, because some of it can go down that path and some people don't really go into that. But the mindset of, what mindset do I need to grow? What mindset do I need to stick at it? How do I gain that grit? And these are all things that we're going to talk about today. But I'm going to start with asking Craig, why have you started doing pieces on mindset? Was there like a recurring theme with brokers that made you go down that path with your social media content?
I think, to be fair, because going back to what you said earlier, it's like it all started with my own mindset first of all, of not forgetting the whole broker side of things in terms of working with people, coaching people. It was my own mindset that I wanted to get right first of all. So I've done a lot of learning, developing my own mindset in terms of, I've always known that I've had a growth mindset compared to a fixed mindset, and they all sort of started with that, knowing that the feedback, like you said there, I've always had feedback of being level headed, having quite a growth mindset. So I thought, well, let's start to look at, and then it was the brokers that I was working with, reaching out. And I think what started and what my mind was somebody sort of said to me once about, have you got a book? Is there like a book where you can give like to a broker starting out in the industry? Is there like a folder? Is there like a book to go, that's how you become a successful mortgage broker? And there isn't one. There never would be one, because the world, as we know, as a mortgage broker, changes constantly. But one thing that I've always said is that in the industry, we deal with challenges every single day, but you can always find the answer to every single question. Whatever you get thrown at by a broker, whether it's a client scenario or situation, whatever's going on, you will always find, you can always go and find the answer, whether that's a criteria or a BDM or whoever that may be. What there isn't the answer on is mindset. And that, like, and I know that might sound very like a generic kind of thing when we hear mindset banded out about a lot, but the brokers that I speak to, brokers that I work with and have lucky enough to have contact with day in, day out, are generally at home in a bedroom or a makeshift office, or maybe lucky enough to have an office, but they are sat in there day in, day out, just grinding away, and just on their own. And so they can speak to people about, and they're obviously speaking to clients, but speaking to people about placing case and things like that. There is a lot of help and support about that. But actually, when you're on your own, and a lot of people are first starting out self-employed, they've got nobody to talk to,
Yeah.
nobody playing devil's advocate, nobody to just run things by. And then that, so there's that aspect of it then that then has a knock-on effect with your mindset, because then your mindset is then, I'm on the right path, am I doing the right thing, and so then you can sort of soon become like on a fixed mindset, or a like negative mindset, if you want to call it that, whereas then it's sort of like you're not quite sure whether you are on the right path, doing the right thing. And I think so that's how it sort of started, really, to then feedback on how I was. And then I thought, well, actually, is that something that I can learn a lot more about and help people with there? Because that's why we do these things, is like, you do what you do and I do what I do, because we have a genuinely interest to help people and support people to achieve what they want to achieve. So does that make
And that
sense?
is it, is it 100%. And that's, I think it probably came a lot more, it was brought to the forefront a lot more during COVID because everybody was at home. But now, like you say, if you start off as a self-employed advisor, you don't have much support around you. especially if you're under a brand. You might speak to the odd person now and again, but you don't have anybody as a sounding board. Am I doing this correctly? It's more of, does this case fit here? What do I do with this case? It's not, how do you
Exactly.
survive with a week where you get no leads and then
Yeah.
next week where you get 5 leads? And this is what I'm really interested to get into today. So, what 3 tips would you give someone who is struggling with that, where they are sat at home, they're wondering where their next piece of business is going to come from, or they're overwhelmed with the amount of business that they're getting? What 3 tips would you do to try and help someone be a bit more level headed?
The first thing, and the one that springs to mind, is always at the forefront of my mind and what I talk about a lot, is just focusing on what you can control. Don't waste time on things that you can't control. And as brokers, we like to vent and we like to sort of worry about everything. So we'll complain about underwriters, we'll complain about surveyors, we'll do a lot of things that, and that's okay to vent and to sort of feel as though you get that off the chest, but you've always just don't waste time on that and sort of let that influence your mindset and influence how you work. Because so just focus on what you can control. Things like an underwriter asking for the pay slip, you can't control that. There's nothing you can do. You can shout and
Mm-hmm.
whinge and moan about it as much as you possibly, as much as you want, but it ain't going to change the fact that the underwriter needs that pay slip. So the first thing is only worry about what you can control. And as soon as sort of, and that's not something that will happen overnight. It's something that you've got to constantly work on in terms of doing something like that, because that's a whole shift in habits and mindset and the rest of it. So the first thing will be focus on what you can control. Second thing is limit the distractions. There's so many distractions going on for individuals, from emails to phones and we waste so much time. You can waste so
Yeah.
much time. It's like, and so yeah, so limit the distractions, silence the noise, don't let the noise get in as much as you possibly can. And then the last one would be have some accountability, whether that is yourself and holding yourself accountable, or whether that's an accountability buddy or a community or like a Facebook group, or there's plenty of things out there. The good thing about our industry is that brokers want to help other brokers out. There's a real good sense of community. So again, with accountability, like I'm a mentor, a coach. I work with advisors on a one-to-one. Nobody wants to do that, or not
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to work with me, and not everybody can afford to do it from that point of view. So just, if you can afford a mentor or a coach on accountability, then absolutely do it. But if you can't, use some other broker that's out there or some sort of community to do that. So yeah, so focus on what you can control, limit the distractions and limit the noise, and have some accountability.
Love those 3. The one I would like to pick apart is, because at the beginning, the first one, yes, only do what you can control. It's a very simple sentence, isn't it? But it's very hard to put into practice. And
Yeah.
number 3 is finding accountability. There's so many people out there that you can find accountability with, people in your network, friends, family. I find personally, having a family member or a friend hold you accountable, I don't really like it, because they let you get away with it. I like somebody that's a bit of tough love, that's kind of like, no, you said you were going to do that and you've backed out. And funnily enough, I set up a company probably about 10 years ago, a website called Accountability Buddy. And we used to
Right.
match people all
Wow.
over the world. They'd fill out a question, like a personality questionnaire, and we'd match them together. And we had everything on there, like some people that were addicted to My Little Pony as grown adults, and they needed somebody to hold them accountable as not to watch it. Honestly, we closed it down in the end because there was some weird stuff. But the majority of people were like business people that wanted to be accountable. But anyway, that's another story. But the second one is, when you talk about stopping distractions. Say I am a mortgage broker and I have a team of 6 people. There's 2 admin, 3 brokers, and a protection advisor. They always come to me if they've got a question or they've got a call or they need to speak to me. How do I limit those distractions? Have you got any time management tips or anything around that to stop me being pulled away from a task to answer my staff's questions, or can you not avoid it?
I think sometimes, I think the thing is with it, my first answer would be structure your diary accordingly to give if you know that a individual is going to need some of your time every single day,
Mhm.
put that into some sort of diary structure. So if that's the case of, okay, every single day I need to review with my admin what's gone on today and deal with anything that they need my help with, then and when that works for you, put that in at 4 o'clock on every single day or something like that, rather than sort of giving you, because we lose time. So again, when we go back to wasting time, and this is relevant to what I'm talking about, and hopefully I will remember. But if you're in something strategic for your business and something that really needs your 100% focus, turn your phone off. If you know that people are going to distract you, let them know that literally you're on do not disturb for the next hour, 2 hours. Don't even bother trying to contact me because you're not going to get through. And this is something that I need to get done. Or so there's that aspect of it, of making them aware that you don't need this space and time, or giving them a time. What I found work was giving them a set time every single day. So it would be 4 o'clock. So
Mm.
4 o'clock till 5 o'clock, I knew there was one person that needed some of my time every single day with what was going on in the business. I said, okay, 4 o'clock every day, we'd have a Teams meeting, me and that individual, every single day that I have that hour. So I never got distracted during the day because everything can wait. Things might the things that might seem urgent can always be dealt with in that day. Do you know? It's sort of like, it's not, oh, this is urgent, it needs doing now. Really, this second, does it need doing, or can it wait till 4 o'clock when we talk about it? And there was
It's
never anything. There was never anything that needed
that was that
that
urgent.
there and there. That was that urgent. There was just never was the case, because, like I said, if you and I are recording this podcast right now, if somebody needed me and it was urgent, they would not get through. I'm not going to pause this podcast recording to talk to that individual. So that's just the same as if you're with a client. So it's just all about structuring your diary and setting those boundaries, but giving that person the time when they know to. If you know you're going to get distracted by somebody, and you just say, right, 4 o'clock every single day, you've got an hour of my time. That's every single day. It's in the
Mm.
diary, non-negotiable, and you'll find that something that happens at 10 o'clock that they need your attention, urgent attention for, by 4 o'clock, they've done it, sorted it, and it's gone away, and they don't even need you in the first place. Do you see what I'm
It's
saying?
almost,
Like,
I
in
suppose,
terms of,
it's helping your team or whoever it is, or if it's a client, it's helping them trying to work it out on their own, because things that people deem very need to be done right now, like for example, I need you to send this AIP over because the estate agent needs it right now, and you send it over, and then you call them the day after and go, "Oh, how did the offer go?" And they go, "Oh, yeah, I haven't sent it to them yet." It's like, what? I can hear mortgage brokers listening to this going, "Bloody hell, that's happened to me so many times." But it is true. I love the idea of setting an hour every day. I listened to Chris Evans, and he was speaking to a time management coach, and he said time blocking will give you the space to be spontaneous, because
yeah,
it's such a weird way of thinking it. If you're really structured, you can be more spontaneous. Like you say, at that 4 o'clock, if you're with that team person on Teams and they don't have any jobs to do, let's just have an hour to catch up then. What's going on in your life? And that hour would never have happened if it was an email at 10, a text at 11, because you're pulled
exactly.
away from so many. I love that. I love that person then respects you more because they have an hour of your time then, don't they?
And that's the thing is, but then you're putting it back into the ball back into their court, because they've got that time in your diary. So then I would find then they would cancel it, or they'd message me half an hour before saying, we don't need that 4 o'clock today because there's no dramas going on. There's nothing for you to sort. I was like, great, I've got an hour free time then to then
Mhm.
go into the gym or go for a run or go for a walk or do whatever I want to do because I've got that time back. So the individual still feels that you're there for them. You're not ignoring them, and but then they respect you more and respect your time more because then they don't want to waste that time
Yeah, I
just
like that.
by.
How do you find people that listen to this? Like you say, you've got an hour back there, and you automatically went, "I'll go to the gym. I'll go for a run. I'll do something else." I think we're all guilty. I'm definitely guilty. If I have any spare time, I'm like, I could get ahead on that. Why does your mind go to, I've got time back to do something I enjoy rather than I can get some jobs done? How do you make that shift?
Because so wind it back a little bit. What I always do is plan tomorrow, today. So before I leave my office, like I'm looking at work in my garden, so I'm very close to home. I've got a garden office. I'm very lucky that way. But before I close this door and sort of leave for the day, I know exactly what my time blocking looks like tomorrow. So I know what I need to get done and will get done in that time. So if I'm given time back, it's going to be, it naturally is for me. Like it's not for something else in the business because then you'll just fill it with something else that you could do the next day or it's not urgent and it's fine if
Mhm.
you wanted to get ahead on something, then that's absolutely fine. But I think we seem to, as business owners or as self-employed people, we tend to, the default is the guilt side of things of, okay,
Mhm.
well, I've got that hour bag now, I can, but then on the harsh reality is that if I get that time back, I'm not going to be prepared for that hour. I'm not going to be in the right mindset for that hour of doing that work because it's going to take me 15 minutes to get my head into gear for that particular task. So I've wasted 15 minutes of that hour already. Whereas going
Wow.
out just for a walk, I'm going to be more productive in my creativity head thinking, oh, if I go out for a walk, I'll be thinking, right, let's think about podcast ideas and let's think about things that, do you know, it's the creativity
I
time
love the
then
way
from
you
my point of
think.
view.
I love the way that you've just put that. And this is, guys, this is from somebody who's got a team of nearly 30 people under him that it could so. I've got two staff that work with me, and I'm all over the place. Whereas somebody like Craig got 30, and he's saying if I get an hour back, if I try and do something in that hour, 15 minutes is wasted. And that's not a negative mindset at all. That is, I haven't planned for it. I'm the kind of person that knows I need to plan. It was just interesting to hear you say that having an hour back is useless if I'm going to do a task because it's 15 minutes wasted. I'd rather use the full 60 minutes to do a walk or do the gym. That's incredible. I love that. I'm going to snip that up and use it as a social post. I think that's awesome. So,
Fine.
speaking about these tips that you were spoken about, can you give us a case study of somebody, not mentioning names, obviously, but a case study of where you've gone with them, given them that coaching and really flip their mindset to help their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we won't name names in any of this, but I think one that sort of springs to mind, and like a recent one was they were a great broker, absolutely doing well at what they did, got a good running a good business, but very much going back to what you said before. Actually, then just sprung to mind from what their scenario was. They had, like you said about referring to like accountability, family, friends. They don't hold you truly accountable, and the one thing that the feedback that I got with them and why I was working with them and really helped them was that it was about getting it. You can speak to your family, you can speak to a friend about the frustrations or moving your business forward and reaching the milestones and achieving what you were set out to do and not drifting and taking action on things like that. But if they don't work in the industry and they don't do what you do, they don't get it. They might listen with the two ears and listen and say all the right words at the right time and make all the right noise and nod the head and things like that. But actually, they do not get it. They will nod the head, but they will not get exactly how you're feeling because they haven't been. That's not been disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the point with them was that they've got an amazing relationship. They've got a really good family and a good social network, but they were not moving the business forward. They got somebody they were talking to, but they were never making any decisions to move the business forward because they just choose not to take action because, I've got somebody holding me accountable and they said, I'm doing okay. But from the outside, but once you strip it down and dig a bit deeper, they were just drifting. They weren't taking action. They got some great ideas, absolutely amazing ideas for the business, but they were choosing not to do things because their friend was saying, "Oh, look, on the outside of it, you've got an amazing business. It looks great. It looks so you're doing so well." When actually, not using negative comments, but they were doing well. They were, but they weren't achieving what they wanted to achieve. And they weren't addressing that because they were just drifting. They got some great ideas. They weren't stepping out of the comfort zone because they didn't have anybody to help them. And it's like if you want to step out of your comfort zone and you've got somebody there that pushes you out of your comfort zone, but then in a safe environment where you know that they've got hold of you, but they're still pushing you. That's what their feedback was with me. It was like, so I want to push out my comfort zone, but I've never had anybody before going, go and do it, and I've got your back. Don't worry. What you're trying to do. I've done exactly that same thing. This is what went well. This is what went really bad. So don't do this. But this is what went really well. And it was just then for them. Their feedback was they'd had so many ideas on their whiteboard about what they were going to do for their business, but they kept rubbing them out, writing the same thing over and over again, and they could see the outlines of the. Do you mean you've had something on a whiteboard for a long time,
for that long,
and then you rub it out, and it's still there? You can still see that bit there. They sort of said they were having to come up with these ideas, and so that was it. It was literally that was their sort of their
So
moment
how do you get them to take action? What do you say? What sprung that thing in their mind that went, right, Craig has said this particular word, which has meant I've done it?
It was one thing. Like I'll talk about priority. Like you cannot have 3 priorities in your business this month. Just don't do it.
Okay.
Just don't do that, Kate. Just what is the one thing that you're going to move in your business this month, and how are you going to get there? And then it's talking about. So we've agreed one thing that's going to happen. So it might be. So for example, I'm going to post on social media 3 times a week. That's something obviously that you hear quite a bit, and sort of so it's that. And they've always sort of wanted, I've never done it. Right, okay, that's the one thing that we're going to do this month, and then it's about setting clear actions. So then about how they're going to do it. So it's not okay. I'm going to create more content. What does that actually mean? Well, you're doing nothing at the minute. So creating more content is one piece. So is that all you're going to do this month? Is one piece of content? Well, no, it's not. That's not. So it's just then agreeing them, and then if there's not, you can sort of tell by their body language in terms of how they are. If they don't feel comfortable with putting the content, it's then stripping it back even further, thinking, well, okay, how do you do that content, and where do you start with that? But it's all about focus on one thing. Let's move one thing forward this month. Forget all the other noises, forget all the other goals, forget all the other targets, forget everything else that's going on in your head. Pick one. We're sticking with that one, and we're moving that one forward. And this is how we're going to move it forward. Does that get a bit passionate about that? Then? Sorry, mate.
No, that's great. I think, and very similar to the listeners, very similar to me. We're all numbers. We're all numbers driven. And if you say to me, what's the one thing? It's very easy for me to categorize that and say that's the one thing I'm going to. If you said to me, what do you want from your business this month? Like, well, do you know what I mean? I want to help more clients. I want to help the staff. I want to do this. right, and if you said to me, what's the one thing you're going to focus on this month? I'm like, right, more social media content. Well, what does more mean?
What
Okay,
does
well, you're
more mean?
doing 3
Absolutely.
at the minute, so that's 5. Okay, and how are you going to create 2 extra posts? And that's very similar to, I'm going to sell more protection. Well, that's not a smart goal, is it? It's okay. Well, what's your penetration rate now? It's 40%. So you want to get that to 60. So you've got to do more appointments. And it makes, I think, the benefit of accountability is it's somebody to give you a bit of tough love, isn't it? To say,
Yeah.
some of the stuff you're talking about here is absolute BS. I remember, sorry, that was me going over a conversation in my head, not talking to you. Like, I remember I had a business coach last year and I jumped on the call and I was like, I'm having an issue with this and this isn't working and that's not working. And he went, it's nobody else's fault, Chris, it's yours. I was like, no, it's not. It's this and it's that and it's this happened. Chris, you're trying to excuse yourself, mate. It's your fault. I was like, yeah, it is. But I needed somebody. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you that. And once you get really good, you can tell that to yourself and go, no, you're giving yourself BS. But
Exactly.
sometimes it takes somebody to say that, doesn't it? I love all
Exactly.
that. Fantastic. I love chatting about that. The
Yeah.
one question that we opened it up to our LinkedIn audience and we said, what would be the one question you want us to ask our guests that we're not asking at the moment? So this is from the listeners, for anybody listening. They asked, what is the number one tool you couldn't live without in your business, Craig?
So it was a great question to ask, and you did send me preparation on this in terms of thinking. So it was good to think about this actually in terms of the
Yeah.
reflection, thinking, well, what is the one thing? And I went through the AI, technology, tools, all things like that, and then it sort of brought it all back to what I talk a lot about, which is, and this is not like an ego or anything like that, because people who know me know that I've not got an ego, but we always forget that the one thing that we all can't do without in our business is ourselves. We cannot, we don't look after ourselves right. We don't look after our minds. We don't look after our bodies. We don't look after our well-being. We'll look after everything else and worry about everything else before we look after ourselves. And I think, so it is an answer to your question, but that's not just me looking at myself like, oh, I'm big and I like the
Mhm.
one thing that I could not do without is myself. It's a thought for everybody, that people that I coach know that I talk about this anyway, but from people listening, is that we forget that our biggest asset in our business is not our phone, it's not any technology, it's not AI, it's not our laptop, it's not our iPad, it's not anything else. If you weren't there, that's all
Nothing
irrelevant.
would happen. Yeah.
Nothing would happen. So the most important thing I would say that I could do without is me and my business. Because you have, like you sort of said there, you've got a few people in your business. So if you weren't there, you've got the
Won't get
responsibility
paid.
of those people. Yeah, exactly. You've got the responsibility of those
Mm.
individuals. So if I'm not there, well, yeah, it's a lot of people would
That's quite a
survive in my
cool
business,
answer,
but
that.
thanks. Yeah, it's just sort of, I think we just seem to forget that sometimes, and that's just as we are as individuals, as business owners, and it doesn't matter whether you're a sole trader or part of a firm or whatever the case may be. You have to look after yourself, because you're the only thing that matters in that business.
Love that. And that leads into the question around social media, because thinking about this question I'm going to ask can affect you and it can leak into your day, leak into your appointments. What would you say to somebody who is just starting out? They're working on their own in their spare bedroom and they are comparing themselves to other mortgage brokers on social media. I suppose the first question is, what do you say to people that compare themselves? And the second one is, because you've dealt with loads of different brokers, either in a personal capacity or you've dealt with them in a group capacity. Are people always as successful as they put out on social media?
So to answer the first one, just stop doing it. Stop comparing yourself. I think we seem to forget that every single broker is unique. They've got the
Mhm.
unique personalities, unique business, unique clients, different areas, different locations. Everybody is different. So just stop comparing it. That's why I've always said for a long time, just run your own race. Just like you'll waste so much time worrying about, and again, going back to wasting time, isn't it? Like you waste so much time comparing yourself to other people rather than actually doing the stuff you need to do in your business to move it forward. So you, like I say, I would certainly say stop doing it. Your life, and again, like it's your life, it's your personal life as well. Your work-life balance is what's. I work with people that are, they'll spend 2 days a week on their business. I've got people that will spend 6 days a week on their business. But so everybody's different. Everybody is has got that unique challenges. So don't waste time. Folks, know what you want to do. Focus on doing that, and don't get rid of all the other sort of distractions going on by comparing yourself to other people. And it is a natural thing. Like we seem to forget that human beings, it's a natural thing to compare. Like from infancy, we're compared to others in terms of grades at school or what. Like we compare ourselves. Our parents will would do it right. It's just a natural thing that we do. So it's quite a thing to lose in your business, but the quicker you break that habit, shall we say, and get that new habit, then the more level-headed you will be. Because again, it's focusing on what you can, goes back to focusing on what you can control. You can't control what other people are putting on social media. You can't control that. You can't worry about that. Can't do anything about that. Just worry about what you can do. So I think that's so that answers that part of the question, I think. And then so moving on to the next, are people are successful. Again, it goes back to success and what you deem as success. And that could be financially, that could be personal life, work life. Everybody's idea of success is totally different. What your idea, you and I having this conversation, your idea of success will be totally different to my idea of success. Absolutely. But that's fine. That's okay. That we're all we've all got our own, whether we're in the same industry or not, it's find out what success means to you, and then just worry about that. Don't worry about what other people are doing, whether they're on driving this car or putting in this house or on this holiday or doing this with their kids or doing that. Stop. Just don't do it. Like, stop doing it. Just. I think it's one of the things that, like I've talked about, and I get quite a lot of feedback. And this is not revolutionary, but from the minute we wake up in the day, our habit is to pick up our phone. That as soon as we wake up, we'll turn off the alarm might be our phone. We'll pick up a phone, and then all of a sudden we've got 15 notifications from last night, and then we'll also the next minute we've lost 15 minutes scrolling through some social media profiles, seeing what people are doing. We wake up in the world with that
straight
instant, straight into it. Whereas and this is sort of, this worked for me. First hour of my day, I don't look at my phone. It literally it's not, I don't even I do not even touch my phone for the first hour, because I don't want to set my tone of the day by what other people are doing or assume or making look like they're doing, and trying to compare that kind of thing. It's the same with somebody that I know work with. They have problems like sleeping at night, so they wake up in the night thinking about, but they spend the last hour of their day, or they did the last half an hour of the day, in bed scrolling through the phone. Or when they couldn't sleep, they were picking the phone up. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you
I'm guilty of it. Yeah, it's the go-to, isn't it?
Exactly, because it's there. It's like we feel the need to fill our heads with information when actually we should be sleeping. And that, so yeah, I don't want to get too in depth with that, but yeah, it's success is what it means to you. Whatever success means to you, find that, focus on that, and stop worrying about everything else.
Love it. Well, as a thank you for coming on the podcast, we like to donate £10 to a charity of your choice. Which charity did you want us to make the donation to, Craig?
So if you could send it to the RSPCA in Wakefield and Leeds, that's the specific branch of Wakefield and Leeds. We're doing quite a lot of work with them in terms of I've been lucky enough to visit the place down in Wakefield, and the good they're doing for animal welfare is amazing. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be really much appreciated, Chris. Thank you.
Perfect, fantastic. And if anybody does want to connect with you, Craig, and talk to you about anything that you've chatted about today, where's the best place for them to reach you?
Normally LinkedIn, so you'll find me on LinkedIn, or if not, my website, which is craigskelton.co.uk, has got everything about what I do on there as well. But yeah, LinkedIn, if you just want to send me a DM, absolutely fine on that. Just have a look on there.
Love it. Craig, thank you so much for coming on today. There's so much there that I know a lot of people will find value in. I've found a lot of value personally from this, because it's not just about mortgage brokers, the things that you've spoken about. They can be taken across any business. And at the beginning of the year, Sophie and I sat down and made a big strategy for this podcast. And we wanted to really focus in on people that can bring value in such a laser focused area. So instead of just talking about how do you grow a mortgage business, Craig, it's what are the steps you can take and what mindset do you need to grow it. And I really think we've achieved that today by giving people a real niche listen into a small part of how to grow a mortgage business. So, Craig, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time, and we will be sure to have you back on again in the future.
Thanks very much, mate. Really been great. I really enjoyed doing this. So thanks very much, Chris.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Cheers.